Good morning. So here we are, quarantine day number, I believe it's either 7 or 9, depending on where we are. But I'll tell you that today is really just starting another week of work and homeschool for my daughter. But one thing I've already talked on, I've already let people know this, but I wanted to just go over it again, is what to really stock up on. And I'll tell you what kind of brought this up and why I wanted to revisit it is because I do go shopping. I go shopping weekly and pretty religiously. Shopping Sunday mornings, 8 p.m. and I have the one store that I go to. It's usually Whole Foods, just down the street. I drive over there, hop out, get my stuff, load my car up, drive home, get my day over with. Well, in the middle of this quarantine, it was the first time that I've actually seen a line. They were doing it for social distancing, call it whatever you want to, but social distancing, that they were trying to just limit how many people were in the store. And I saw a line that was wrapping around the building. And it was the first time in my mind I thought, it's getting real. And only because I didn't have the time, and I was also freezing outside I didn't want to stand in line. So I'm talking about this from a place of just more of a convenience in having things around. I don't want there to be this sense of I'm looking for you to stock up on and kind of like hoard stuff and we are all going to die. There's not a grim outlook on this. We just have to get serious and it all kind of play out, and that's good. Hold on. But I just thought about it and thinking, okay, because I actually skipped that line. I came home. I did find another spot to get some groceries at, but I was also thinking, what if this other place wasn't open? I needed to have some stuff around. So I wanted to revisit this list of things that I would want to make sure that people understand what they want to be getting. And we're not at a food shortage. I want to make sure you know that. But the thing that we might not have as much of is time and the ability to wait on lines. Or say, we've been hearing a lot of stories about like the elderly and not being able to actually get in a store and keep things around. So this could be something you can kind of pass on to them. But if you do find any of this helpful, please like, share, comment, and let me know the kind of things that did work for you, maybe that didn't actually. I'd love to hear both sides of it. But when we're talking about our food, this is something, I'm coming from a place of truly nutrition. Now, I can choke down almost anything as long as I know it's going to benefit my health. So on this list of stuff, you're not going to find a lot of desserts and ice cream and Twinkies and all that type of stuff there. But it doesn't mean that it can't fit in. It's all just making sure that you are set nutritionally for an extended period of time with not having things like groceries around. So with that said, I wanted to go through a few of these, and you can make different meals out of this too, and they really should be hitting on all different areas of macronutrient distribution. So you have your protein options, you have your carbohydrate and your beneficial fats. You're also going to be hitting on most of your micronutrients as long as your protein, your fibers are really hit on here. So please be aware of that. This might not be mind-blowing, but it's the idea that you have a list that you can go off of and you know that you can make things from. So stay tuned, because what I'm also going to make sure that you have, besides list just those things, I want to talk about certain things like what supplementation to keep around, certain cooking techniques that can help you, and then also meal ideas that you can touch on too. And we can always expand on different recipes and things like that just in the future. But I want you to have an idea of what you can stock up on during this time, all right? So, and check out my full blog as well. Check out my full blog at www.foodisfuelnyc.com/blog. That's going to share all this information so you can have it available to you without me talking to you here. But I would definitely start just thinking about 3 different kind of things. One, you want your dry goods, and then you want to have your fresh goods that maybe are going to be rotated out, and then you're going to have some of your frozen items as well. But you want to make sure that you have all of these options, and it just depends on how you actually combine them. So I would start with your dry goods. I'm going to make sure that I have things like dry oats, whether it's going to be something like a steel cut oat, a quick oat, or just regular rolled oats. I want to make sure you get that because they're very versatile and they provide a slew of nutrients that can benefit you in this time of need. But I would also move on to things like peanut butter. So oats, peanut butter. Peanut butter is something that really won't go bad. There really isn't any issue with keeping it around for a long time. It doesn't need to be refrigerated. So even if you open it up and you had to leave it out, that's definitely fine. But peanut butter has, again, it has protein, it has beneficial fats in there. I would go for something that's strictly, look at the ingredient list and it's just doing dry roasted peanuts. I would recommend just getting that kind of thing. I know at Whole Foods they have that, Trader Joe's has that as well, but look for the most natural kind of product without a lot of added sugar in it. I move on to things that are going to be kind of these baby plants almost. So we talk about beans, so dried beans, but even canned beans can be just fine. And I would focus on ones that are going to give you the best bang for your buck in terms of protein and then soluble fiber, and that's going to be lentils and then also your black beans. But I would also keep things around like your pumpkin seeds and also your sunflower seeds. These have a higher protein content than things like your peanuts and also things like your almonds, and they're going to have high amounts of vitamin E, a lot of other antioxidants in there. So please keep those things around. I would also make sure that we're keeping in mind here that we want to keep you full and also hit on your protein needs and all your other macronutrient needs as well. But dry roasted edamame, beef jerky, turkey jerky, that kind of stuff can definitely be very long lasting, can stay on a shelf for a long period of time and hit your nutrition goals. I'd move on to canned tuna and canned salmon. So this is where we can start to pull in one thing that seems to be elusive when we start to stock up on food, and that's going to be calcium. So things like tuna and salmon, just tuna by itself might not be very high in calcium, but when you get something like canned salmon that actually has some bones within it, sounds weird, but you can make things out of that and it actually brings up the overall calcium content, so that would be a great thing. You can, now I'm just saying tuna and salmon, but you can also move on to things like sardines, you can move on to anchovies, but those two, it's a little bit of personal things, but tuna and salmon can work for me. I'm also going to bring in things like rice, again, because it's going to be so versatile. We do have things like quinoa and other kind of like seeds like that, other kind of grains, but stick with something simple. There's no need to get crazy here, and you're going to be able to get your benefits that you normally get from something like a quinoa or a different kind of grain. You can get it from these as well. Chicken broth, bone broth, and you can definitely get beef broth, you can get vegetable broth, but the thing is here, it's going to be something you can kind of cook with as well. It kind of opens up your options in terms of cooking. But your chicken broth, your beef broth, your bone broth is also going to be helpful because it can be higher in protein and also collagen. But we all know that collagen, as long as you get enough protein and vitamin C, you'll be set. Things like tomato sauce or crushed tomatoes can also bring things together. It can be a good kind of a binder in ways of bringing a meal together. Things like chilies and stews, that can definitely help, but it also has another great source of micronutrients within there. We want to be able to bring those colors in, right? I'm also going to top this list off. I actually made this list a while ago and I forgot this, but ground coffee. I'm going to leave it there because I think that in a time of need, you want to make sure you can pull it out. And it's not only going to help you mentally, I think it's just going to help you a little bit physically. It does kind of bring up energy. It also has antioxidants that can help. Don't forget your spices, your salt, your pepper, your garlic, your oregano, and your red pepper flake. Those are pretty basic. I could probably make most of my food from that, but know that it can definitely help you, okay? But those are the things you can put on a shelf and probably leave there for a good amount of time and them not really going bad. And move on to your frozen foods though. And these frozen foods are where you can get a lot more of your colors, a lot more fiber. You can also get a little bit of protein here too, a lot of protein here. And this can be part of a lot of your meals. And so I would move on to things like your frozen fruit. So I'm gonna get to things like getting fresh fruit around, but the frozen fruits can be in there to make sure that you're gonna get things like more potassium and your vitamin C, all the kind of stuff that you're gonna miss out on in a really extended period of time if you can't get anything fresh. But you can make smoothies from that kind of thing. We'll talk more about recipes in a second. But I would get things like blackberries, raspberries, strawberries. I always like to focus on those because they are higher in soluble fiber, but the antioxidant levels within them are so high as well. Frozen vegetables, again, soluble fiber. I'm gonna go with broccoli, cauliflower, spinach, shelled edamame. I might throw on here like frozen asparagus as well, but all of those kind of things, those are not only going to provide you with just fiber and satiety, but you're getting a lot of your vitamin A, your vitamin E, vitamin C, just from things like your vegetables here as well. We don't want to just think that vitamin C is only coming from things like fruits. And this is where things like frozen fish and frozen meat. So I would go for things that, they don't need to be lean at this point. If we're in a famine or we're having a really hard time getting food, I wouldn't be thinking, okay, there's going to be a big difference between 83% and like a 93% lean kind of protein. So I wouldn't have a problem with going with like ground beef that's a little bit higher in fat, or even a bison can be really great as well. But frozen salmon, frozen cod for the beneficial fats that are going to be in there. But those are some of your frozen items. So fresh fruit, fresh vegetable, frozen fish and meat. What I would say is that during this time, you may not be able to get a full list of these foods here, but what you can do is keep kind of a running stock. As you kind of use it up, that's the first thing you go and get. And I would say just your fresh vegetable and your fresh fruit for right now. But get the things that are going to last a little bit longer. So things like your fresh vegetables, things like carrots and potatoes, either white or sweet potatoes. I don't really care, to be honest with you. There's not that much of a difference. But I would definitely go with things like carrots and potatoes. Those things can stay around for a long time. They're also very versatile. I'm not going to stop you ever from getting more vegetable, but those are things that if you couldn't get any more, they're probably going to last a little bit longer. I'd then move on to fresh fruit, and the fresh fruits I focus on will be things like clementines and also things like apples, only because they stay around a lot longer. It doesn't mean that other fruits like bananas or other things like kiwis aren't going to be good, but those might not last as long. And so I would just make sure that you focus on those things right there. Okay, so those are going to be the things, those are my survival foods that I would want someone to have. I'm not really on the fringe of kind of like any of your indulgent foods or any of the things that you might be wanting that kind of help you mentally. But this is when I'm talking about a prioritized lifestyle that we're focusing on these things first. So check it out. Check out the blog. You'll have the full list there. Now, I'd be at a loss if I was saying that you will get everything. If you had to go an extended period of time only with these foods here, you may not eat enough, appetite could change, you might run out of some of these foods. So some stuff that I would stock up on would actually be things like a multivitamin. I would get some protein powder, and I would also get some protein bars around. So I think that can definitely help you out, because a multivitamin is there for coverage. Remember, one of the best things you can do is always just tackle any deficiency. And it's okay if you don't get everything from food, but just taking a multivitamin, it's not going to do you any harm, and you just want to make sure, as long as it's a safe product. Check out my supplements video, and that can let you know kind of a safe supplement. But a supplement, a multivitamin from something like Thorne Research or Rainbow Light or even Bluebonnet, those can be excellent multivitamins to keep around. I'd also focus on protein bars, an RX bar, a Rise bar, Quest bar too. I like those. They're all going to be high in protein. They're going to give you really beneficial fibers as well, and then protein powders also. I would again stick with Thorne, Bluebonnet, Isopure. The only reason I go with Isopure sometimes is because they offer Isopure infusions, I think, which is going to be more of a fruity, kind of like citrusy kind of flavor. So it just kind of breaks up that whole like milky vanilla chocolate kind of flavor and gives you something a little bit different, which I like. There's one thing on here that's a little bit different, and those are these things called stasher bags. Stasher bags are a great way to be making different kind of meals. You can store things in them, you can cook in them, and they are silicone and not plastic, which I think I also like as well. But check them out. There's a great link in my blog as well. Check that. What I would also really implore you to do, get used to some cooking techniques. If you're home for an extended period of time, take these ingredients and know how to apply them. So when you're doing that, certain things like, so there are 3 different methods to cooking. There's going to be, I'm just always checking my notes here to make sure I'm not wrong, but you have your dry heat methods, you have your wet heat, your moist heat methods, and you have a combination of both of those. So when we're talking about dry heat, you have things like your frying, your sauteing, your grilling, and your roasting. You have your moist heat methods, like you have your poaching and your steaming, and you have a combination of those, which is going to be something like braising and stewing. Now, a lot of you, I know you've done this before, but get used to, excuse me, get used to doing some of these things that are more simple, so you can have a more versatile array of a menu of foods that can really help you out. So cook in the moment. As things change, it can help. But those are 3 methods. But the techniques that I would get you used to would be roasting, searing or pan frying, and then also stewing. So these three things can really support utilizing all of those ingredients that I just mentioned before. So not only should you be able to have your ingredients, you should know how to cook them, and this can definitely help you out. So get used with those: roasting, pan searing, or pan frying, and then also stewing. One recommendation I'd make: I love a good cookbook, I really do. But there's one, it's called Pan Sheet Suppers. Pan Sheet Suppers is a great book you can get on Amazon, but it teaches you how to cook everything on one sheet. It's all about just getting your oven set, 375 most of the time, how you can put things, arrange things differently, different kind of foods, arrange those on one sheet, and you can make a full meal out of it, and that can benefit you there, okay? And then things like your stewing. So your stewing, that's like a crock pot. So if you have a crock pot or an Instapot, that's where we can definitely help you out, and that's pretty quick and easy too, all right? But remember, I have a link here to some food safety guidelines. Whenever you're cooking in bulk, you're batch making things, you want to keep food safety in mind. So look at this link on the in my blog, and that can help you really get set up with making sure that you're not going to be spoiling food, and you're going to be staying safe and keeping maybe your family safe if you're cooking for multiple people. All right, so again, you have things here. You have your list of foods that I would recommend that are going to hit on all of your nutritional needs. You're going to have a list of some additional items, things just to make sure for coverage, your multivitamins, your protein powders, your protein bars. And you also have some cooking methods that I would say getting prepared for. This isn't about being stuck in the woods for survival, but these are all life skills as well, just to make sure that you have those down, okay? But last, again, look at the full list on my blog, but we have a great number of options that you can really make here. And I would say keeping a simple list of things, 3 to 4 ingredients, where you can make some meals out of, can help you. So I would start with things like your overnight oats and even like your peanut butter bites. They're really simple, and you have these options laid out for you here. I'd also keep things like smoothies in mind. If you're not able to get things like fresh vegetables and fresh fruits around, and it's going to be hard for you to eat a bunch or even cook, you can blend them up in a smoothie, and you can take those kind of things in really quick and really easy. A great option here for a lentil and tuna salad, a black bean soup as well, and also a simple soup. Those are all things that you can put right into a slow cooker, or you can just put on top of the stove or in an oven, in like a Dutch oven. You can leave it in there for an extended period of time. You have things here like a 3-bean salad. This great option here not only just has beans in there, but it has high protein beans and high soluble fiber. So you're getting huge benefits around things like your muscle maintenance with protein, and also focusing on your overall health with soluble fiber. Your roasted meals. This is a way, just honestly, 28 minutes, 375 in the oven, vegetables one side, and then put your protein on the other, and then pair it up with any kind of starch that you want to, and you're gonna have a full meal. Don't forget about simple things like chilies, and then also stir fries. Quick and easy. You're utilizing basically all of those cooking techniques that I had just mentioned, and you will be able to sustain yourself for an extended period of time. But this is a quick and easy list for you to make sure that you know how to take care of yourself and your family, and if you need to, maybe your friends, but social distance, all right? And you can do that. But comment, share, like this list, go on my blog, check it out, like this video. Let me know, what are some things that you need to have around? What are your non-negotiables? How do you make sure that you're staying sane in such a challenging time? But anyway, guys, thanks for listening. I'm glad to have you on here. Check out the blog. Please like, comment, and share this so that other people can benefit as well, all right? Stay safe, stay healthy. You got this.